Hello, my name is Scott Gibson with Beneath the Surface. I'm here with Mickey Fulp, mercenary geologist. Thanks for being with us, Mickey.
Thanks, Scott.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about last year, 2012, coming into 2013. What happened? What do you see coming forward for both gold and the stocks?
The bear market continued last year, essentially, and this really started right the day before PDAC in 2011. So now we're, 22 months into this, and doesn't look like it's going to end to me.
Yeah.
As we've talked about before, there's lots of companies that kind of need to go away in this business. We had this raging bull market in 2009 and 2010, and once again we ended up with too many companies who did not belong in the business. Anything could get financed. So that came to bear starting in March of 2011. So the washout's still going on, and I think it's going to continue for a while. In fact, I probably hope it's going to continue for a while and rid ourselves of a bunch of subpar companies and start leaner, meaner, and cleaner, if you will.
And how do you see that washout happening? Is it a number of bankruptcies where these companies just go under? Is it mergers, acquisitions, rollbacks?
Well, I think
What's your
it's
take?
probably, I think you made the points. It's a combination of all these. Certainly the ones that don't have anything more than a hope and a prayer, we would hope that they go away completely. But there's companies that have good projects that have too many shares out, no ability to finance. Those are going to be acquisition targets at bargain basement prices.
Yeah.
The trouble with these bear markets is much the same as the trouble with raging bull markets, is in a market like this, the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater, so the good companies are going to suffer. This is going to be painful, but we're going to come out of this at some point, and I think we probably have a year or two still to go before everything washes out. That are going to be painful for most companies, but the strong will survive. This is Darwinism, is really what it is.
It really is.
And we're going to come out of this with a much stronger junior resource sector.
And where should investors be putting their money? Where are you putting your money? In terms of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, a lot of the companies are suffering right now. As John Kaiser says, 60% of the companies are trading less than 200,000 cash. Does everything get pulled down, or is there going to be select spaces or types of company that get some traction?
Everything's gotten pulled down to a degree, and what you see, I think, or what I see with the companies that I cover that are very strong, fundamentally strong, is they just have gone nowhere. They're flatlining, or that's not saying they get beat up during tax loss season in the summer. They make rallies during this part of the year. But if you look at the charts, they're relatively range bound, and so those companies are the ones you want to be involved with. Well, I cover 6 companies. 4 of them are still trading at $1 or more, and the lowest amount of cash they have is like $7 million. So those companies are set, and they're going to be the aggressors, and they're the eaters that are going to go out and find things to eat up at cheap prices. So as far as what commodities I'm looking at, well, I'm always looking at gold, copper, and uranium because I'm long-term bull in all those. Oil and gas, specific companies. If you can find companies without debt, especially in the liquids basis of that sector. Although good gas companies are severely undervalued, maybe you look at that. Uranium is beaten up. It's coming back. It does not look good to me in the short term, but in the near long term, I'm a raging uranium bull.
And short term being this year, or short term being?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the uranium price this year. So much depends on the spot price, and the spot market's become very convoluted because we have a variety of products that can be that are used in the uranium business. It's not always about mined yellow cake. So, for instance, we had the Obama administration dump a bunch of DOE stockpiles on the market, cratered the price just in time for the election so he could carry the union vote in Ohio. That was politically motivated. So in the short term, most utilities are viewed as having uranium supplies, but at the end of this year, the megatons and megawatts program goes away, and that's 24 million pounds of uranium. We have a deal with the Russians to supply about half of that to the U.S., but past that, so the uranium supply looks very constricted, and so I'm a mid to long-term bull on uranium. Where's the uranium going to come from in the midterm for these 60 new reactors coming online in the next few years?
And what about gold? What's your take on gold going forward?
Well, I think gold's going to be range-bound. Gold's had its heyday. I feel confident the price of gold at the end of this year will exceed what it opened on January 2nd. But I don't see catalysts on the horizon going to make the gold price go screaming up. My basic idea on gold is it will increase in value in all currencies because they are fiat currencies, and worldwide it's a race to devalue currency. Look what the Japanese are doing right now.
I know.
So,
well, what about gold stocks then, and or uranium stocks? Where would you be playing there? What range there? Earlier stage, the more advanced?
I am always, and have been for a long time, a guy who thinks that there are two models that really work in this business, and that's the advanced explorer model, where or the upside for advanced explorers, I think, is where the real money can be made in this market, and then the prospect generators. And you and I know some of the big boys in this business, much bigger than we could ever dream of being. They're really on to the prospect generators right now. And those companies have gotten beaten up unmercifully because they don't have advanced projects. So people look at them and go, why do I want to own this? Well, you want to own this because they'll survive, because they don't spend, if they're running the model right, they're not spending much capital and they're not diluting, and that's a big key now.
No, and the key to that is they're spending other people's money on their properties.
Absolutely.
And maybe they have 8 or 10 joint ventures. Maybe it's $5, $10, $20 million being spent with $500,000 or $1 million of their own.
Right.
And that's to generate new projects.
Yeah,
so it's a great model. I'm a big fan of it too.
And so smart money's been moving into that, and I've been tagging along a bit in that because I like to follow the smart money.
Nice. And is there some joint venture model companies that you like right now, or uranium or gold?
Well, I can give you a few. Let's just talk about the companies I cover. In prospect generator space, I cover Avrupa Minerals, with very successful so far in its Portuguese massive sulfide plays with Antofagasta Minerals, and has a joint venture with tungsten. I like tungsten, so I'm still looking for my tungsten company. Watch out here. We're starting to move and shake a little bit in that market.
And I do own Avrupa too, for full disclosure.
Okay. Yeah. I own one uranium developer, that's Strathmore. They have added a copper gold property for near-term value for shareholders, which will be spun out, I think, at some point. So that's beaten up. I cover 2 gold explorers, Brazil Resources, Inc., which is a sister company, Uranium Energy Corp., good management. I cover Mawson with the highest grade gold uranium occurrences in the world in central Finland. I cover a near-term graphite producer, Flinders Resources. Hands down, I think it is undeniably the best company in graphite space, and it doesn't seem to get its due. It's floating under the radar because it's recommissioning a mine, so not a lot of flashy news. Take a look at Flinders, and then in copper space, I cover a very soon-to-be ISR producer, Curis Resources.
Curis. Yeah.
Part of the Hunter Dickens HDI group. They got catalysts on the horizon. Take a strong look at that.
They do, and I do own Curis. I own Avrupa, like I said. I don't know the other ones that you mentioned. And you own a position
I
in
all of those, and they actually pay me money to sponsor my website. So I'm horribly convicted in my views.
As long as you're disclosing.
Absolutely.
Thanks you very much, Mickey. Appreciate you being with us.
Okay, thanks a lot, Scott.
Again, that's Mickey Fulp, mercenary geologist. My name's Scott Gibson with Beneath the Surface. Thanks for being with us.